next we will have our message with our speaker. We'll share her message followed by a meditation song, and then she will give us a meditation.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be with you on this wonderful invention, this technology. And I know that all month, the month of January, we've been focusing on faith. What faith is, how it can be a part of our lives. And as I was thinking about that this week, I thought, you know, we each have that power, that faith within us, but sometimes we slip. Sometimes we feel kind of tossed around by the many thoughts that crowd into our mind. And I was thinking, how do we stay centered? How do we stay centered in the faith, in the truth? And something came to my mind from many years ago. I was in high school in a Girl Scout troop that I belonged to. We became a Mariner troop, and the local yacht club was our sponsor. And we ordered a kit to make a sailboat, to build a sailboat, and we did. One of the fathers was helpful, and there was a lot of sanding involved. I remember that. But there finally came the big day when our little sailboat that held 3 people was ready to go out on Lake Decatur. Now, before we could get our Mariner badge and get into that boat, we had to demonstrate, number one, that we could swim, and also demonstrate that we knew sailing skills and sailing terms before we got into that boat. And I remember the importance of the anchor, because if the wind came up and the waves got choppy, if we had dropped the anchor, we knew we would not be blown off course. And I was thinking about the spiritual anchors in our lives. Through our unity teachings and practices and other New Thought teachings, we have spiritual anchors that we can use to stay centered and not get blown off course. Some of us came to unity through deep pain or crisis, and others came in a gentler path, and I guess I did. I was born in unity, but I've had some pretty big nudges in my life. Sometimes they felt like shoves, and I had one of those shoves after I had become a licensed teacher. I was teaching school and going to Unity Village in the summer and became licensed. And then I thought that I just would apply to ministerial school. I was eligible for early retirement from teaching, and so I felt guided. I was going to be a Unity minister. I disregarded the instructions on the packet that said, don't quit your day job, because I knew I would be living in Unity Village for the next 2 years. In the meantime, while I was waiting for notification, I was teaching classes at our church and giving messages and working on the board and teaching in other Unity churches. And all my friends were so excited for me. They were all praying for me. They knew that I was going to be invited for interviews, and I was. However, big nudge, shove, I was redirected. Now, to my ego, that meant rejected. Yes, there were 60 people invited for those interviews with only 30 positions, but that wasn't the point to me. I felt rejected. I was scheduled to speak at our church on Sunday, and I got home on Friday night, and what was I going to say to the congregation? What I said was, either I believe what I teach, or what am I doing here? And I dropped my anchor. I knew God is always in charge of my life. And I knew I had a ministry, but it wasn't going to look as I thought it would. In that moment, through prayer and affirmation, I strived to stay centered in the truth that I knew. It wasn't long before it became very apparent that the redirection was definitely the right thing. And through a series of events, I was guided to Brooks Divinity School in Denver. They accepted all of my Unity credits, which was just a blessing. And I was able to stay with my sister in Denver in the summer and take classes at Brooks. As a project for my ordination in Brooks in Divine Science, I created a positive prayer line in Bloomington, Illinois. And every morning for 3 years, I recorded a 1-minute positive prayer. And so that led to my ordination in Divine Science. And you know, our vision, hindsight, is 2020. And it became so clear that moving to Missouri at that time would not have been the thing to do. It wasn't the interview panel that redirected me. It was God that redirected me. And it was a perfect plan unfolding. I didn't know at the time how that plan was going to unfold, but I had dropped my anchor, and even though my boat was a little shaky, I felt certain that everything was working for my good. So there comes a time when we have a moment of choice, when our boat is shaking and rocking, when we are unclear, where we have to decide where we stand. We drop our anchor in the truth that we know. And not only at major crossroads, but sometimes many times a day. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 to 27, we read one of Jesus' teachings. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man that built his house on a rock. The rain fell and the floods came and the wind beat against the house, but the house didn't fall because it was built on a rock. Anyone who hears my words and doesn't act on them could be like a foolish man that builds their house on sand. And the rain comes, the wind blows, and the house falls. And Jesus said, and great is the fall. Now, when Jesus had finished teaching, the people were astonished at his teaching. He taught as someone having authority, not as one of the scribes. Because Jesus knew who he was. He knew his relationship with the divine, with the Spirit of God. And he was able to speak from that place of knowing. He was anchored in truth, the truth that makes us free. So in Unity and New Thought, we have spiritual leaders, and I'm going to quote from 3 of them. Of course, Charles Fillmore, who with his wife Myrtle was founder of Unity, and Ernest Holmes, founder of Religious Science, and Nona Brooks, co-founder of Divine Science. So in the Essential Charles Fillmore, we read, this perfect idea of God-man is your true self. God-mind is constantly seeking to release its perfection in you. It is your spirit. And when you ask for its guidance and place yourself by prayer and affirmation in mental touch with it, there's a great increase in its manifestation in your life. And here Charles gives us two of our spiritual anchors, prayer and affirmation. Ernest Holmes wrote in 365 Science of Mind, I am conscious that there is an infinite wisdom directing me. Whatever I should know, I will know. Whatever I should do, I will do. What belongs to me must come to me. And Nona Brooks, co-founder of Divine Science, wrote, in the light of healing, there is no power but this one power. The only truth is what God is and what God is doing. I, the living soul, am held in this reality. So these New Thought teachers and leaders all taught the same thing. God's nature is good. God's presence is everywhere. God's power is unlimited. And God's love is unconditional. Each of them taught that God power, God mind are available for us to use. We would call these spiritual teachers absolutists. Now that means that there was no room in their thinking for any wrong ideas about God. There was no room for fear or doubt or worry. There was no wavering. There was no shifting sand. They were anchored, firm in the truth. When you call silent unity for prayer, and I hope you do or you have, you know that the person on the other end of the line is praying from that firm consciousness of truth. They won't ask you about the condition, the prognosis, the problem. They'll be speaking in words of healing, of life, of love, of wisdom, of guidance, of harmony. But that's where they stand. That's where they're anchored. So how do we come to this place of being so centered in the truth that the rain may fall, the winds may blow, the waves may be rough, but our boat, or our house, our consciousness stands firm? We choose to focus our attention on God. Emmett Fox was a Irish spiritual leader, ordained in divine science, and he had a large divine science church in New York City during the Depression. Emmett Fox gives us what he called the golden key, and it's in a little pamphlet of maybe 8-10 pages long. The golden key for standing in the truth sounds almost too simple. Stop thinking about the problem, stop thinking about the difficulty, the limitation, and think about God. Now that sounds really pretty simple, straightforward. This is the complete rule. And if we do that, the problem, the trouble will dissolve. That doesn't mean that the outer manifestation is going to change exactly the way I wanted it to, like it didn't when I applied to ministerial school. But it does mean that the problem, the anxiety, the worry, the fear are dissolved. If we stop thinking about the problem and think about God, that's the golden key from Emmett Fox. And then Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind wrote exactly the same thing. Turn entirely away from the condition or limited situation to its opposite, to the realization of truth, health, harmony, abundance, and happiness. Stop thinking about the problem and start thinking about the attributes of God. What do we know about the attributes of God? Spirit, the divine. God is wisdom. God is truth. God is love. Everywhere present, that means right here, right now, in this situation. Divine mind knows exactly what is needed, and God is unlimited substance. So God provides exactly what is needed. So when you find yourself embroiled in a life situation, imagine yourself in that little rocking boat or that house, hopefully built on a rock, and say to yourself, drop the anchor. Drop the anchor. Come back to the thought of God and continue to stand in that thought. How was Peter able to walk on water? When he saw Jesus walking to the boat, he said, Lord, if it is you, let me come to you. Now, Jesus didn't say walking on water is only for messiahs. He said, come, come. As long as Peter's eyes were on Jesus, the Christ, he was able to walk on water. But as soon as his eyes dropped to those rough waves below him, he started to sink. And as we look at the waves, the situations in our lives, we sometimes feel we're sinking in fear, anxiety, worry. But the golden key and all of those other spiritual teachers invites us, stop thinking about the problem. Turn your attention to the truth that you know, the truth that God, divine presence, spirit is guiding you, with you, supporting you. And we can decide to drop that anchor at any time. Now, I would like to share this morning 3 spiritual anchors that I have used many, many times. Can't find my car keys. So where does my mind go? Do fear thoughts jump in? Somebody came in and took them. Or perhaps feelings of anger, annoyance with myself. Why don't I always put them in the same place? I am so irresponsible. I can replay every move I made, trying to remember where I put them, getting more and more anxious. Or I can drop my anchor, and this is the anchor that I would use at that time. There is nothing lost in spirit. There is nothing lost in spirit. Infinite intelligence knows exactly where those keys are. And if I relax into that knowing, breathe gently and deeply, knowing there's nothing lost in spirit, they'll pop up right in front of me. And I've had that happen, and you may have too. My second anchor that I use a lot, have used through the years, is just a simple affirmation of 2 words. Divine order. A Unity friend of mine in Illinois also used that affirmation a lot. And one day her mother was very anxious about something that was going on. And she was also annoyed because she didn't feel like her daughter, Linda, was being very supportive. And finally, Linda said, well, Mother, what do you want me to do? Her mother, very exasperated, said, well, at least you could say divine order. So we can say divine order, and it's not the words that are magical, as it was shared in our metaphysical moment. It's not the words, it is that power to shift our attention from the situation, from the anxiety and fear to the truth. There is a divine order right here, right now, guiding and directing us to our highest good. So instead of looking down at the water, feeling the ground shake, we turn our thoughts to truth and find that our boat didn't get blown off course, our house is still standing, our consciousness is firm. Where do we stand? Well, we may be firm in that understanding and consciousness until we listen to the evening news or read the paper. We see other people getting upset or angry or fearful, and our boat begins to rock. I do watch the news. Many people in spiritual studies and on a spiritual path say, well, I don't watch the news, and that's okay, but I do. I want to know what's going on in the world, and I feel that I can contribute a peaceful, harmonious consciousness to that news. So that third spiritual anchor, as I'm watching the news, listening, I am poised and centered in the Christ mind. Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. I am poised and centered in the Christ mind. Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. And from that place, I can send peace into that situation. So these are the three spiritual anchors that I'm sharing this morning. Number one, there's nothing lost in spirit because God mind knows where it is. Number two, divine order. There is a perfect order unfolding in my life and on the situations that I might be concerned about. And number three, I am poised and centered in the Christ mind. Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. That's a comprehensive one because it can be applied to any kind of situation. Now, you may already have your own spiritual anchors, or maybe you want to create one. An affirmation that comes automatically into the situation. You don't have to run to find a book to find an affirmation because it's right here and it's going to pop up when you need it. And so you can borrow mine, you can use your own. And I will close this morning with the story of a little girl that knew exactly who she was. A kindergarten class was preparing a play for their parents, and it was an underwater play, kind of like Nemo. So the teacher was assigning groups, and she said she wanted the fish over here and the clams over here, the starfish, the seahorses. Everybody was in their groups, except this one little girl who was standing very confidently and quietly by herself. Finally, she looked at the teacher and said, "Please, teacher, where do the princesses stand?" The teacher was taken back for a moment and she said, "Why, the princess stands right here beside me." And so there was a new character in the play, a sea princess who knew exactly who she was. And she just wanted to know where to stand. And so I know that you each have your own anchoring affirmations, or you can create them. If this is a new practice to you, you might write them on sticky notes and just have them where you could see them quickly until they become automatic. I invite you to take your stand in truth, in love, in life. God bless you as you take that stand, as you drop your anger in the truth that we know. And so it is.
Hi, Tony. This is Sandy.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my.
And so I invite you as we prepare for meditation. Actually, that beautiful song by Daniel is a preparation for meditation. It's a meditation in itself. So just close your eyes and center in. Breathe gently, easily, going deeper. Dropping from the mind to the heart, to the core of our being. Gently breathing in that divine presence that fills every cell of our body. That divine presence that expresses through each of us. The arms of spirit wrapping around you. And in that presence, we know our oneness with God, our oneness with all good, our oneness with one another. In that presence, we know that we are being guided, blessed, uplifted every moment of our lives. In that presence, we listen. We move from the thought, from the word, to the silence. And in that silence, we feel our oneness. We feel our wholeness, divine life, healing anything in us that is bringing us concern. In that presence, we listen. We know that the perfect answer is revealed to us. One presence, one power, always available, because that's who we are. We know who we are. We know our relationship to God, to spirit, to that universal, eternal, divine presence that created our world and our life, our body, every relationship. That perfect wisdom is guiding and directing us now. So our hearts are filled with gratitude, joy, thanksgiving. And we release anything that might have been concerning us and say yes. Yes to that loving, loving presence, that divine presence. Yes to that power. Yes to that wisdom. We say yes, and we know that we are healed now. And so it is. And so we are. Amen.